You found it! Teaching through Repertoire. This is a series of videos that works through pieces of music and explains what you're about to do. So for example, I'll work through the rhythms and show you how to count them. Or I might talk about where you should shift, whether it's first position, second position, third position, or beyond. Or I might talk about what notes to think about as you're working your way around the string instrument. Sometimes you have to deal with extensions, or sometimes because of the key signature, some notes are hard to play in tune. So this video series is here to help you practice and be the best that you can be. So utilize this video by going slowly and carefully. Sometimes you might want to stop and review what you just learned. Sometimes you'll want to use the practice track where you play an entire section at a slow practice tempo. This video is a resource for you to be at your very best. So go slowly and enjoy practicing. Because remember, if you practice every day, by the end of the year, you'll be taller. Zoom, second violin, measures 1 to 18. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and measure 5. 1 E and a 2 and 3 F natural 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and C sharp nice and high 1 E and a 2 3 E and a measure 10 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 4 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and F natural and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 4 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 18. This is second violin. Zoom measures 18 to 28. Re and a go E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 F sharp 1 E and a 2 half step B flat B 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 21 1 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a lifty and a and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a lift B flat and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 and a 3 E and 4 and 1. This is Zoom, second violin, measures 28 to 39. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 37 tremolo. 2 4 B flat low 4 39. Things to think about, second violins. Make sure you're doing your subdivisions. Find the big beats and fit in the smaller ideas. Always think down to the 16th note. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. Also, in measure 37, you're dealing with tremolo. Very fast bow with no tension in the arm. fingers and the wrist. Good luck. Second violin, zoom, measures 39 to 56, key signature change, G major. Also time signature change, 3/4, 3 beats per measure. You will also see 8th notes, triplets, and 16th notes. Reminder of how to count 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Reminder of how to count triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Reminder of how to count 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. I will play your part and subdivide out loud so you can hear how the rhythm fits. Ready? 1 and 39. 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2:44. 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1. And 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and that's it. So, second violins. So far, we've worked our way up to 56. Well, we get to start 56 with a couple measures rest. I mean, you've worked hard. So we'll move on into measure 58, where we have to go down to open G piano, and we build this scale up with a molto crescendo in 61, all the way up to forte in 63. Now, in your music, you see forte, and then you see a crescendo going into a rest. That's because Mr. Meyer wants to make sure you commit all the way. Sometimes we sort of do this. We kind of die away at the end. It's important that that sound goes all the way until 64 and then boom, silence on the rest. Okay, when we play long note values and then play fast note values, sometimes our subdivisions aren't on. So we have to make sure that during that rest at 64, we start doing our 16th note subdivisions. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and so on. That way when we start playing these faster notes, we don't just jump ahead randomly. Okay, looking ahead at 66, if you do open E, that's going to be a really hard string crossing. So what you might want to consider is putting your first finger on high D and then your second finger on E. That way you're not dealing with a string crossing. Or you can do third finger high D and then fourth finger E without shifting. In 67, we have to have one of these awkward hand positions where you have low second finger C natural and then you have to get your fourth finger up to E flat. Continuing on, 68, that's a courtesy accidental. Mr. Meyer knows that we have younger musicians playing these pieces and sometimes we forget to reapply the key signature as we move from measure to measure. 71, no problem with our C sharp. And then in 74, we're going to slow down the tempo and land at measure 75 on the fermata in a piano. Then you'll see railroad tracks because 76, we're going back to all the old music. So here's measure 56 all the way to 76, but I'm going to skip the 2 measures rest. So we're going to start right at 58, piano. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, B flat, 1, 2, 3, high second finger, B, 2, 3, 61, C, 2, cross over to F sharp, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 2, 3, piano, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 70, 2, 3, C sharp, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, off. So here we go. 76, tempo 1. Notice the key change, back to 1 flat in the key signature, and we're back to 4/4 time, quarter note getting 1 beat. We start with tremolo. Remember that tremolo means trembling, so it's an unmeasured effect. We don't have any pulse within the actual sound. What we do is we keep moving our left hand to correlate with the tempo given by note. Then we have this big crescendo into pizzicato. Now when we do pizzicato, make sure that we're pulling the string so that we have enough resonance. Otherwise, it'll be hard to hear cutting through the orchestra. As a second violinist, remember your sound needs to get through that giant barricade of first violinists. Then you get to pick up your bow at 81. Remember, arco means with the bow, and we have a mezzo piano crescendo to forte. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now I suggest this, at 82 it says forte. Part of that sound will not just be volume but energy in your bow. So making sure we have a very fast down bow and then an articulate up bow. So if you listen to the down bow, I get from frog to tip very quickly. And then my up bow have a lot of bite on that second note so I can hear the rhythm. I like saying this, play rhythmic things more rhythmically. Therefore, we hear all that syncopation and that subdivision within the larger beat structure. Okay, so we get to play our syncopated rhythm that we played earlier in the piece, and then we get to pepper that in and out with some of our 16th notes. So make sure as you're doing this is 84 for example, 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. Make sure you're subdividing in 84 so that when you get to 85, you're not just randomly faster, you're precisely faster. Get used to looking at a measure and seeing which notes are on the beat and which notes are off the beat. So in 86, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on the beat or off the beat. Those are our two options. In 98, you have one of those sort of second violin moments where you have rhythm, but then you go right into the melody. So it's really important as a second violinist to be ready at any time. Sometimes you're melodic, sometimes you're rhythmic, sometimes you're supporting the higher register by playing an octave below, sometimes you're leading the trio by being the highest and most melodic voice. Lots of roles for the second violin. One of the greatest parts to always play in any orchestration. So here we go. We're going to play measures 76 all the way to measure 105. Bow on the string. Pianissimo, tremolo, measure 76. 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a ring, let it ring. And 79, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and crescendo. 1 and 2, fast bow and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 86 ready and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 pianissimo 1 and 2 3 E and a 4 E and measure 90 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and crescendo 1 2 3 93 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and be natural, nice and high. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2. melody. 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a tremolo forte. 1 B flat. 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 105 to some new music. So with the new music at 105, we have a couple of markings. 1, key signature change. We go from 1 flat to 2 sharps. Also, we have a new time signature, 5/4, 5 quarter notes per measure. And then the musical instruction is andante misterioso, which means we're going to go slower and the color will not be as forceful. So if we were playing with lots of edge in our sound before, we're going to take away some of that edge as we work our way through this new part. So things to think about. First of all, make sure you're counting to 5 whenever you have these long notes. So for example, at 105, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just keeping track of the fact that we have 5 beats per measure. Then at 109, we have this thing called sole, which means that the whole section is being featured for the melody. This is one of those times where you have to do some real great subdivision, paying attention to where all the 16th notes are within the phrase. So at 109, if we're doing our subdivision, we have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 5 beats. We have to subdivide where the 16th note is differently. Now once you get to 111, same idea, it's still the melody. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... And because of the key signature, that's an F sharp at the end of 111, even though we have that C natural to begin the measure. Looking ahead, he just gives you some helpful ideas. At 113, we have mezzo piano. He'd like you to use a 4th finger G sharp, play the extended position at measure 114, and we crescendo at 115 to nothing. So make sure you commit to that crescendo. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a... Stop precisely, but crescendo all the way to that 4th beat. Last thing to talk about, your ear will not want to play F sharp in measure 123 because you just played this weird noodly sort of sound with those B flats in 122. So once you get to 123, it's softer, it's pizzicato, and that's an F sharp. So here's 105, 5/4, 2 sharps. Ready? Ready and set and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 E and a 5 E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crescendo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. F sharp 117. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fermata. Nice job. So we continue from 124 to 134. We are back in tempo 1. We have a key signature change. We have 1 flat in the key signature and back to 4/4 time. Once we get to 128, make sure that we have a very fast down bow, fast and light. That way we can get to the right part of the bow to have a double up bow. Gives us a chance to have a really nice sound on the double up. So at 130, we have the start of our melody with the ties and the syncopation. So it's an interesting melody to play. You have to make sure that you subdivide through the quarter note as it's tied into the eighth note. So listen up as I subdivide. We have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2. It's a tricky moment within the need to count, to sustain, and to be melodic. Okay, so here's 124 to 134 in a slow tempo. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and that brings us to 134. In 134, we once again have to look, is the note on the beat or off the beat? So at 134, we're looking at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So find every eighth note and break down the 8 eighth notes within the 4 large beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. And then on beat 4, I always suggest to subdivide in whatever's about to happen. So in 135, since you have 16th notes, I would start counting those 16th notes on beat 4 of 134. Technically, nothing too challenging to work with. We just have a couple of more musical ideas. At 140, we have pianissimo subito, which means suddenly very soft. You can be very committed at 139. Disappear completely. We go up to piano at 142 and then we crescendo and commit fully to measure 144 and the forte. We'll only play from 134 to 145 because at 145 things get exciting. Ready? 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 2 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E B flat and now piano 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and crescendo and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and. Nice job. So next up, 145. So at 145 we have più allegro, which means more fast. So this tempo is going to pick up. Not right now for the rehearsal speed, but make sure to watch the conductor because the tempo will move forward at 145. Also, Mr. Meyer has made a point to make these notes very, very short. He could have written a quarter note with a staccato dot on it. Instead, he did an eighth note with a staccato dot and an eighth rest. So it's a little bit confusing for the eyes because we see lots of rests, but actually everything's on the beat. So the rhythm is really straightforward. He just wants it very, very short. So we're going to pay attention to the quality of our sound. We have very, very short notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Another thing to always consider, remember that naturals don't make things lower necessarily, they just cancel stuff, which means that B natural is actually higher than B flat because it's canceling that flat in the key signature. At 151, you'll see the word accelerando, which means we're going to get even faster. So what he's written here is music moving forward to get ready for the tempo of vivace, which means lively. That'll measure 156. So once we're at 156, we're just screaming down the highway at full speed. We have one more reminder to go even faster at 159. It says accelerando al fine, which means to keep going faster and faster and faster until the end. We have one weird little 2-4 measure thrown in there. So in 160, you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. And so you have to just make sure that you pay attention that at 161, there's only 2 beats in that measure. Make sure you're counting in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Just so you're ready for that downbeat at 162. Crazy loud, crazy energetic, and he's like, you know what, but at 163, let's make sure we play that soft. 2, 3, 4. And then finally, fortissimo, 3 Fs to finish the piece. So, let's play it. 145 to the end, practice tempo. Ready? 1 and 2 and nice and short. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1 E and a 2 and 3, 4, 2, 3 and 4. And that's the piece Zoom. Practice it slowly, practice it carefully, work everything out that you need to for the technique of the left hand, work everything out for the technique you need for the right hand, and then start putting sections together. Thanks for following along. Happy practicing. And remember, if you practice every day, by the end of the year, you'll be taller.